I am a terrible parent, at least according to society, and I am entirely okay with that. Let me give you an example. Recently, my middle daughter was climbing up a tree. She got stuck and she said, "Dad, I need help getting out." And I walked over and said, "No, you look like you're stuck. You can get yourself out." Now, she was, her hips weren't even higher than my eyes. She was just fine, soft ground beneath, so I didn't worry about it. What I figured was the worst that would happen is she'd fall out of the tree and she'd be okay. She'd be a little banged up and she'd learn a valuable lesson in limitations. At worst, she might break an arm. And again, learn a valuable lesson in her limitations and what she should do, what she shouldn't do, and that would be it. Now, what actually happened, what I actually really figured would probably happen is she spent about an hour in the tree figuring out how to get down, and now she's in and out of that tree all the time. She was so in love with her accomplishment of that she talks about it months later, that she got and taught herself to climb up and down that tree, and she has such a sense of triumph from it. Now, the big thing and the big place that I differentiate from much of culture there is that I expected harm might happen and I was okay with it. I didn't worry about it because kids are going to get hurt sometimes. People are going to get hurt sometimes. Sometimes you're not going to accomplish something that you try to do. Much of society now thinks that the primary job of a parent is to stop all harms from coming next to their children. They should be pushing, everything out of the way as a snowplow parent, shoving everything aside, preemptively going into a classroom and saying, "Hey, my kid needs special accommodations. You've never met them. We've never even gone to see if they can shape up, if they can hit this mark, but we need to push everything aside." Or the helicopter parent who just runs around hovering over their kid, making sure nothing bad happens, intervening immediately and not letting kids work it out. Ultimately, society thinks that it doesn't matter how unlikely a harm is. You as a parent are judged on your parenting by that one time something bad happened to your kid, and boy, are you going to hear about how bad a parent you were. What this means for you as a parent, even if you're more on my end of parenting, where you say, "Hey, kids are going to be kids," is that society says an unwatched child is a tragedy waiting to happen, and we're going to make sure that we protect all of them, and you as a parent are going to pay for it. Now, both of the harmful parenting styles I talked about, the snowplow parenting and the helicopter parenting, fall onto the spectrum of what I'm calling happiness rhetoric. The idea that everything in life should be good, that we should be happy as people, that our kids should only have good things happen to them, and nothing bad should ever happen. No learning experiences, I'd call them. No hard time should befall them, because then they're not going to be happy, and they must be happy all the time if we're good parents. The assumption in a lot of these parenting practices that you must build your kid a social media worthy life all the time because other people are going to watch it, and that's what people will judge your parenting by. Did you have a good picture? Is your kid smiling? Now, the people that really pay for this is the kids, because what we're building is children who've never had adversity, who are going to become adults, who have bad things happen and have no framework, no experience working through adversity and knowing that, hey, when bad things happen, I just need to work at it a different way. There's a book called Range by David Epstein, and it talks about wicked learning environments. There are environments where the rules change, the inputs, whatever you put into it may be different, even though it looks the same, and the outcomes come months later, and there's a whole bunch of variables in the middle. This is, even becoming a good YouTuber. I could do the exact same type of videos as MKBHD did a long time ago and still get nothing. Like, no one will watch them because things have changed, right? The inputs that I have, sometimes it's, years later, something comes out of it that's really good. I've noticed that in my programming career. 10 years later, oh, so-and-so's, the chief marketing officer at a host. And so then they said, hey, you should engage Curtis on this project. That was 10 years later. There's no way I can plan for that. Now, the problem with life being mostly a wicked learning environment is that we never give kids opportunity to learn in that wicked learning environment when we push all harms away from them and helicopter over top of them. Instead of learning that obstacles and harm sometimes is something that happens, is something that you need to work through, and that even though something bad happened, you still have to go do your job, they learn that someone's going to come, rescue them from it, and they don't have to do anything. It's especially important at a young age to let these obstacles and these consequences come up because they're relatively safe, right? Learning right now, as my daughter did, that she can get up and down the tree or even falling out of it. Lets her know when she's older, some of her limitations. Maybe she won't follow her friends climbing up the side of a building, and maybe she will. I don't know. But it's also just helped her develop confidence and, an idea of what her limitations are, where she's scared. And maybe she says, maybe I won't do that because I do remember being scared in those situations. Now, one of the big things about risk, about challenging ourselves, is that it's really been shown to help with rapid learning. I noticed that in my own life. My first year snowboarding, my friends were all instructors, and I spent a lot of time with them saying, come on, follow me here, you can totally do it. And I'd be off a cliff sometimes and doing drops and doing all this other stuff. But I went from being I didn't snowboard at all to a very competent double black snowboarder in one season, because I took a lot of risks that I trusted my friends. They knew that, what type of physical shape I was in, and they knew I was just really picking up the skills for snowboarding. I had lots of other, I was strong physically. I had done lots of other outdoor sports, but only because I took the risks, because I trusted them and took these risks, did I become that good. If I had spent my entire time on the bunny hill, as many people do, then you have a trouble. You're never going to become a good snowboarder or a good skier if you do that. And a lot of the parenting that we do keeps our children on the bunny hill until they're like 20 and 25. And then we're like, why does this kid just keep coming back to me? Because you kept them on the bunny hill. They never got opportunity to go explore on their own, to learn that the hard things happen, and then to work through the problems. Now, if that's resonated with you, then there's really, at least starting, one best thing we can do for kids. It's to realize that our job as an adult, as a parent, is not to make sure they have the happiest, most perfectest life. Our job as an adult is to build other good adults that can contribute to society, that are resilient, that are kind, generous people. And that means we probably need to make 2 changes culturally and maybe 2 changes personally, depending on who you are. The first realization we need to come to is that stress isn't bad, obstacles aren't bad, and we need to let our kids work through them. Any adult that's being honest is going to say they failed at something. There's something they tried to do, something they're still working on that they're just not getting, that they don't understand, they can't do, and that they're just not doing well at. Sometimes I fail at being a good husband. I fail at being a good dad. Sometimes I'm a bad business owner. I'm not financially responsible occasionally. And I need to realize that, and realize that if my children are going to be able to work through these problems in the future, they need to have some of these types of problems in a safe environment now. So on the money front, when my daughter says, I don't have any money to buy something, I was like, you don't? That sounds like a problem. Have you been doing the chores that we'll pay you for? Well, she hasn't, so she doesn't have any money. And she's just going to have to learn that she doesn't have any money then. She doesn't just get it for free. She needs to work for it, and then she needs to manage it responsibly instead of spending it immediately. When we let our kids experience hard times, failure, disappointment, we're setting them up for the future. These are all things they're going to aspire to, they're going to have in the future as adults. And because they're doing it as children, when they have a safety net of the adults around them that love them, they are more prepared later on to actually deal with it properly. The second big change that we need to make as parents to our children is make them work more at home. Make them actually, do the dishes, clean the house, do regular chores that just contribute to the family, right? My oldest does her own laundry, in part because she complained about it a ton and how I did it, and she didn't like stuff, and I said, do your own laundry. And she's been doing her own laundry for years now. But this work helps make them appreciate the things they have, right? If you've ever complained about your ungrateful child, well, you probably help them be that way because you've never made them work for anything. So they just expect they are entitled to it all because you've never said, hey, this is a gift, this is something nice for you. You didn't earn it, right? You've never made them earn something, you never made them work hard for it. And so instead of just giving everything to them for free, make them work for it. Give them chores, make them do dinner, make them do lots of other things. I was actually sick this week and my oldest made dinner and got her sisters to bed while I laid on the couch. And at the end, she felt, honestly, she was very happy with herself about how good she did and how good a job she did cleaning the kitchen and everything. And that gave her a sense of, again, responsibility, of ownership, and of triumph in her life. Now, at the end of this, I actually just encourage you to be a terrible parent too. Let your kids have problems. Let your kids work it out. If they're going to rough and tumble a little bit with the neighbor kids, it's probably fine. The kids will work it out. And part of that is also learning that what behavior is not okay because another kid tells them, because kids don't have good emotional control yet, sometimes by pushing them a bit. And that is okay. Be a terrible parent, make them do more, and let them encounter stress and work it out on their own. If you liked the video, thumbs up below. If you loved it, subscribe, hit the bell. YouTube will let you know something happened. Take my courses, curtismchale.ca/membership, where you can become a member, take all my courses, /education, where you can just go take a single course. If you like this video, there's actually citations for it all in the written version of this, which is linked on my site. Have an excellent day.